I've had guys run my ad claiming to be the best and spending up to $65,000 on one ad and getting low return on investments.
Richie has been in roofing for over 32 years, and he got into AI long before most of the industry.
You got to know two things for sure: marketing and sales. You got to be able to generate traffic, and you got to be able to convert deals.
Learned the trade from the ground up and then reinvented his entire business by learning AI.
This lady was able to rob me of almost $1 million.
I believes most roofing companies and home service companies are just intelligent systems away from doubling the revenue.
In the last month, we've got almost $150,000 in sales off AI.
This is AI and Marketing for Home Service Pros, the show for contractors who want to grow without wasting time or money. If you're in roofing, HVAC, plumbing, or any home service business, we break down how AI and modern marketing can help you book more jobs, close more leads, and build a business that runs without babysitting every task.
Today's episode is going to hit home for a lot of contractors, especially if you ever blown money on marketing, felt burned by an agency, or wondered why your leads don't convert the way they should. I'm joined by Richie Colletti, the owner of Leakbusters Roofing and one of the most brutally honest and forward-thinking contractors that I've talked to in a long time. Richie has been in roofing for over 32 years, and he got into AI long before most of the industry even knew what ChatGPT was. What I love about his story is that nothing was handed to him. This is someone who dropped out of school in 9th grade, learned the trade from the ground up, and then reinvented his entire business by learning AI, studying marketing, and going to conferences and taking courses most contractors would never even consider. In our conversation, Richie doesn't sugarcoat anything. We talk about what pushed him to build his own AI marketing system after losing money on bad agencies, how he uses AI avatars to produce ads that generate hundreds of leads, and why he treats every lead like gold, literally calling, texting, emailing, and even showing up to the customer's house if they don't respond. He breaks down why so many contractors blame bad leads when the truth is usually a conversion problem, not a traffic problem. We get into why tracking matters more than tactics, how he cut his cost per acquisition in half, and why he believes most roofing companies and home service companies are just intelligent systems away from doubling the revenue. If you ever struggled with marketing, conversions, follow-up, or understanding your numbers, or if you're curious about how AI is actually being used day to day in a real home service business, this conversation is going to open your eyes. What's up, everyone? This is Mauricio Cardinal. I'm here with Richie Colletti from Leakbusters Repair. Super excited to have him on the show. Welcome to the show, Richie.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm super excited. We had a great conversation. I learned a lot about what you guys are doing. Super excited to get into it because I think a lot of people are going to learn a lot about how to get like really more business through the things we're going to talk about today. So, Richie, you've been running, roofing. You've been in this business for a long time, for 10 years. And how did your company start? And at what point did you realize that AI was going to be a big part of your competitive advantage?
Okay, a couple questions there. I've been in the roofing industry for about 32 years. I kind of grew up in it. Didn't like school. That was the only other option: go to work or go to school. Roofing was the work that I did when I was a young kid. Worked for my uncles and my brother, and then I got a couple jobs with a few people here in Florida. Worked for them for about 10 years, and then one of the guys I was working for basically told me about 10 years ago, he said, hey, you should probably get your license at some point. I'm going to want to retire. And, you've already got accustomed to the level of income that you're making now. You're not going to make that working for anybody else. So that's what got me started. I ended up taking my test and passing, all the tests and everything, and got my license about 10 years ago. And, that's it. And then as far as AI goes, hold on one second. Okay, turning my ringer off. So as far as AI, I guess probably about 2022-ish, I started hearing about AI and what it could do, and ChatGPT. I go to a lot of business conferences, not really specifically roofing driven, but I do more of, there's one that was AI Con is actually one that we go to, Ultimate Wealth Camp, and it's all these different people from all over the world that come together and they show the technologies that they're using and everything. And I started hearing about like ChatGPT and AI and everything, a few years ago, 3-4 years ago. And I started playing with it a little bit. I took a couple courses on it, and it made a lot of sense, especially for somebody like me that dropped out of school in ninth grade. Like, it enhanced the way I do things. It was very hard for me to do the simple tasks that most people could probably pull off pretty easily, you know what I mean? But I'm not a tech savvy guy. I'm not, worldly, and I don't know all the words that I need to say to articulate things the right way. And it just started making everything a little bit easier, starting to help me create systems and processes and estimating platforms and stuff like that. It's just, there's so much that you can do with AI now. It's come so far in the last couple of years. But I remember like when you were one of the first people using ChatGPT, it was like, you do something real quick. It's wizardry you got going on here. But yeah, it's been a wild journey with AI for sure.
Yeah, so that's something that I actually wrote an article, not an article, but just a post about this. A lot of contractors have problems with marketing, and you just mentioned yourself. So something new came on the scene. You heard about it. You took a course, which is most people don't do that, and then you went to a couple conferences. So that really puts you like the 1% of people that actually want to learn, and that what makes you different. And we're going to talk about that today. Actually, how you use the AI and the competitive advantage you're going to be using. So think about that for a second. Before he actually started anything, he educated himself. The first thing he did is educate himself and learn about it and actually spend money on actually doing it. That's the thing. So that's the thing you have to understand. And we're talking about a lot about AI, but also marketing. It's the same thing with marketing, guys. It's the same thing. So just keep that in mind. So we talked about this last time when we had this conversation. Obviously, you've had a lot of negative experiences with marketing agencies. This is a common experience with a lot of home service companies, right? They've had negative experiences with marketing agencies, very common throughout. And it really kind of pushed you to kind of building your own AI marketing system. What was the breaking point for you?
I mean, all of it was. I mean, all the broken promises that we've ever got from every SEO company, Google company, Facebook marketing company. I've had guys run my ad claiming to be the best and, spending up to $65,000 on one ad and, getting low return on investments. People trying to set up multiple locations. This is the biggest conversation on Facebook right now in all the groups is your Google locations and everything. Well, 4 years ago that happened to me. I had somebody, he tried to get me in different areas, and he set me up all these fake locations, and they kicked me right off of Google. So up until about a year ago, I wasn't even on Google anymore. Like I didn't even show up. I just started showing up like within the last maybe 8 to 12 months. And it's been a hard time like getting all that fixed, and Google doesn't care that you hired somebody shitty to do your marketing, it happened. It's your name. So I just was tired of that kind of stuff, and then tired of not having control over it, and being at the mercy of other people and how they're how they wanted to run it. And with AI, I just found that it was real easy to make videos, make really good high quality videos using AI avatars and digital influencers and stuff like that. And all the way down to the script. I mean, not everybody could just pick up the camera and do a hook story offer and a tone of Russell Brunson and do a killer ad with, all these different offers and stuff throughout the whole entire thing. It takes years of, those guys, took them years to figure out how to do it, and that's something that I realized that, I practiced it a lot, and I was able to do some of it, nowhere near, maybe a small percentage of how good those guys were, but I realized how hard it was and how determined I was to do it. And I thought about other business owners and everything else too. And I was like, this is, something's got to change, and we got to make this easier somehow. So that's where we started working on some AI. I have a, partner, Aoife, and she's really the mastermind behind all the AI. And she, takes your idea and puts it to action and makes it happen. You know what I mean? So
You mentioned Russell Brunson. Obviously, it's a guy from ClickFunnels. I've read a few of his books, bought a few of his courses, so he's a well-renowned guy. What introduced you to him? What did you read a course or read a book from him? What? Just curious about that.
I met him at a conference I was at in 2020 or something like that. He came to a conference I was at in Kentucky, and he started talking about it, and it really he was one of the first speakers that came in that was really talking about it. And then I started to notice at that particular point, I started noticing speakers, the way they had, how people were doing their offers and the stories, and you know what I mean, and how people captured your attention. It clicked. And then I just started reading, all of his books, listening to his audios, and then, from there, Alex Hermosi, all the, I've got hundreds of books and audios and stuff of all these different people. And I just knew, like, as a business owner, you got to know two things for sure: marketing and sales. You got to be able to generate traffic, and you got to be able to convert deals. So that's like probably one of the most important, or the two most important things for any business, because without a sale, nothing happens, right? So, as a business owner, if you're not involved in marketing or sales, then you're going to lose right out the gate.
Would you agree that this is something that of course, several people have said, but would you agree that a roofing company or home service company is a marketing company that sells roofs? Would you agree with that statement, or
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I'm a roofer. I've been a roofer. I grew up a roofer. You know what I mean? I'm a rare exception to the case. Like, when you start to really talk to a lot of different owners and stuff like that, most of them are either roofers or they're businessmen. You know what I mean? Very rarely you're going to have a roofer that becomes a businessman. I knew that becoming a business person was going to be something that was super important to the success of our company. I had to think like a businessman. I can't think like, some of us are grunts. We want to do everything ourselves. Like, most owners suffer from, I'm the best at everything. I have to do it. I don't want to do the stupid videos. I don't want to do this, referrals. You know what I mean? Like, most people aren't thinking like, how can they get to the next level? They're just trying to figure out how to get, what they can. So yeah, I became a marketing company that does roofs. We just happen to be really good at doing roofs too. And I don't necessarily say, like, I always think you should understand your marketing, but you should also delegate it out. I don't think that you should become a marketing company. I just happen to have the right strategic partnerships to make it possible for me to be able to even do that. But you gotta understand how it works, so that way you know if people are doing it right for you or not. You know what I mean? You always say trust but verify. Like, and what happened to me was I didn't understand marketing. I hired people to be the experts in marketing to come in and help me, and I had no way of really telling if they knew what they were doing or not. You get on a call with somebody, they talk a good game, and they tell you all the great things they're gonna do, and then all of a sudden they start doing it, and you're like, where's all my leads? Like, where's all the traffic? Where's this? Why is this happening? Why can't I show up on here? So if you don't understand at least how it works, then you're going to be throwing a lot of money out the window. So, but you should delegate it out.
This is something that I spoke to Al Levy about a month ago, and he's from Sarah Power Contractor. He's a consultant in the home services space. And one of the things he mentioned was, if you're starting out, right, you have 7 positions to fill. As an owner, right, you're gonna be filling those positions. But one of the positions you have to fill is a marketing manager. So even though there's nobody there, you have to take on that role as a marketing manager. And as if you're doing like the actual org chart, right? You're going to be actually filling that role. So you can know if you actually hire someone, you actually understand their actual KPIs, because you're hiring that person. You're actually the owner. You're actually managing that person. You're the manager, right? You have to actually know what the KPIs are. So if you're not understanding what the KPIs, then they're just going blind. That's a very common mistake.
Yeah, it is. A lot of people will hire different people to come in, and I'm not saying a lot of people. I did it too. Like, I hired different people without understanding the actual positions. I hired somebody in my first year in business. I was a roofer and I was a sales guy. And in the mind of a roofer, you sell the job, you build the job, boom, you're making money. Like, that's all it takes. I'm a great salesman, I'm a great producer. I know how to do it. But there was a whole business back end and people running the office and an office manager. I had no idea what goes on in the back office, so I went to a hiring agency and I hired somebody that was severely vetted and everything else. Well, I didn't understand how to read my numbers, so this lady was able to rob me of almost $1 million. So you have to understand that. So then at that point, that's my first real mentor I got was a forensic accountant to like teach me how to like identify the numbers and identify patterns and know when things are going wrong and all of that. You know what I mean? So you have to understand it. It doesn't mean you have to be the guy running the books, but you need to know how to read a report that you get either on a daily or a weekly basis. You know what I mean? And when you're in your slumps, you need to have your reports daily. So when you're on the mountaintop, you should watch it, because that's the easiest time to blow a lot of money. I do it all the time. When we're doing good, we got millions of dollars on the books, and we're just like, yeah, all right, cool, hire another person, get another truck, do this, do that, and then all of a sudden you go down and you're like, oh shit, I got these bills I got to pay, and I got these people I got to pay. So you gotta understand all the different positions, and marketing is definitely one that you could spend a lot of money on if you don't know what you're doing or you don't know what you're looking at.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I think people need to hear that. Let's talk about AI avatars. We spoke about this last time. Very interested in learning about your strategy. How are you using AI avatars with your meta campaigns?
So we're utilizing the AI avatars. It's very easy. So what we do is we feed a script to an avatar. I could literally make you into an avatar. You just give me a 2-minute video on a green screen telling your life story, just whatever tone you normally keep. I take that, I'll feed a script to it, and I can have you do a video selling anything I need you to sell. Or I can get, what we call as the digital influencer, is what we're using mostly. We started to find that we're having a lot more luck with digital influencers. They look better, they talk better, they're in better shape, you know what I mean? And by the way, I'm in shape too, round. But so we utilize them, and then we put them into the ads with the hook story offer, get them to go in, and then we actually lead them to a site to where they actually get a estimate on a roof really quick, and then that becomes a lead, and then we follow up with automations from there. So then the customer's getting touched consistently until like we either get an inspection, because Facebook and Instagram and social media ads are great. I was just adding them up before we got on a call downstairs. So I'm looking at my, KPIs and everything like that. And in the last month, we've got almost $150,000 in sales off of AI ads that were, I don't even see them actually come across my timeline, but they're generating leads, which are generating sales. But it's more of a disruption marketing. Like, it's not like, so you need a roof, you go to Google, roofers near me, right? There's more like direct. You got somebody sitting on a toilet, they're scrolling on Facebook, and all of a sudden this ad comes up, and it's a pretty girl or a pretty guy, and they're talking about roofing, and it says, hey, do you want a quote right now? Click here, boom. You're not really necessarily looking for a roof. You may know you need a roof, and you're thinking about it, and you're in the budgeting phase, and hey, if I can get a price really quick off of this, clicking this button, right? They might not be ready to buy right then and there. So, you get them into the system, and then obviously you start to follow up. You give them the information they're looking for. They're getting the value by getting the price on their roof. Doesn't mean they're going to buy right away. You put them into a campaign, and you keep a drip campaign going on them consistently. We use AI to do all that. We call them, when we first get the lead, we do call them right away. We have a process where we go through 3 days. One sales rep will call, then they flip it to another sales rep, and then finally somebody goes out and knocks on their door. And if they give us the wrong phone number or something like that, which we're actually doing a two-part verification now, where they have to actually get a text message from their phone to even go through. So, which that'll help us, because you're not going to get the tire kicker clickers. You know what I mean? If
It will reduce the spam too. Yeah.
right, they want a roof. They're not going to put their information into a system unless they need a roof.
What company do you use to create the avatars?
It's called Double, but it's spelled Dubuia or I or something like that. I can't really spell it. It's spelled in Irish. It's basically double, and it's my friend Aoife, one of my partners in the marketing. It's Attention Grabbers is her company. She created the app and everything like that. So we use that.
It's similar to HeyGen, right? That's what you're
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
right?
She worked with HeyGen guys when they first started. You know what I mean? And then she kind of has a little bit more of an advanced system going on with this stuff. She actually did another platform that she sold off called SuperDupe, and it was basically the same thing. And I could take your whole entire team, and I can have all of your team members' avatars. So say, hey, I want to do a video with Tony today. I want to do a video with Johnny, or I can do a video with all of them at one time and see who gets the most clicks. You know what I mean? And it does the same thing. You can do a video of yourself, or you can use the influencers. It's up to you how you want to do it. I'm having better luck with influencers than I am with me. A lot of times too, when I do the ads as the owner, people expect to see the owner at the house. When they click on an ad with me, they're like, where's the guy in the video? Well, they don't get the avatar. They definitely don't get the influencer, even though we have a lot of ladies that are on our page constantly, asking to send that guy out to their house and asking if he'll work with his shirt off and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So, because I saw your ads before we got on. So you use multiple avatars, and I guess it looks like you're targeting different demographics. Well, I guess because it's more metas now, it doesn't allow you to target demographics. It's more like open. So I guess you use a good looking guy, a good looking young guy, right? And then also a very good looking young woman. That's like the two influencers you're using. And why? Okay, so how does that like, explain to me like what how that works? Like what kind of results you're getting with that approach? Like with the actual approach is that you're getting more that helps with getting more attention, right?
Yeah, it gets more attention. So we split test a bunch of different avatars. You know what I mean? We have a bunch of different influencers, and we just kind of send them out there. See, we do like maybe like a week long campaign and see who's getting the most clicks, who's getting the most responses, and then we kind of get rid of all the other ones and focus all of our energy and send that out. We track also. I mean, we're kind of tracking like zip codes more or less. Meta is changing. Fortunately, I don't even want to jinx myself. It hasn't done this to my account yet, but it's done it to some of our clients where it's suggesting people to you that if you're doing an ad for roofing and you're in, Miami, Florida, right? Well, somebody in Oklahoma says, I need a roof. Well, it's starting to send an ad to that person because it is the best fit for your ad, right? Technically, but not demographically. It's or geographically. I'm sorry, geographically, it's not the best fit for you because you're not in Oklahoma. So we've had that issue with one of our clients getting them set up. We had to exclude every different region except for the ones that we wanted. Rather than putting in the zip codes that we want to target, we had to exclude all the other ones, and that is a pain in the ass. So we're trying to like figure out how to, we've been talking to like Facebook and everything and try to figure out a way around that because it's stupid. Like if you have like a product that you're going to be shipping out, yeah, great. If somebody wanted a roofing nail gun, okay, and they're in Oklahoma, we'll ship them the gun. But if they need a roof, it just doesn't make any sense. So for service-based industry, it doesn't make sense for us to even, we had to slow down the ads on that particular thing, and then we focused our energy on AEO instead of SEO. We started doing, AI more, instead of SEO, we're using AI to do the SEO.
So I want to actually chime in on that. So that's actually a very common challenge for a lot of because at the end of the day, we work with local service providers. You guys are a local service provider. You want to target local homeowners. That's what you want to target. It doesn't matter the industry. If you're AC, plumbing, it doesn't matter if you're a roofer. Local company, local homeowners. That's what you want. You don't want somebody outside your region. Well, Facebook took that away, I don't know, last year, where you can't target, specifically people living in your area. Now it's like just wide open. So the way to combat that is basically kind of creating filters to make sure that, hey, if somebody's not in the area, you don't even serve them the actual like landing page or the actual form, but they can actually fill out a form. So that's a common way. If you guys are listening to this or watching this, that's a common way to address that problem because it's a very common challenge for people that are running ads. So this is a very like insecurity I think that I see with anybody, anybody who's doing like ads. They want to be they're shy in being in front of the camera, right? Or they're afraid of using AI avatars because of it's fake or whatever they say it's fake. How talk about that? How do you overcome that? Do you like address that? Like how do you like talk about the actual strategy? Because a lot of people have that insecurity behind, oh, these not me. They're like models or whatever. They're fake. Talk about that, like how to overcome that.
Here's how I combat it. I'm not a marketing company, right? I do marketing. I developed the marketing to do for myself, and then it worked for me. If other people ask me to do it, I'll do it. And we're very particular about the people that we work with. In fact, we just fired one of our clients because they just were, oh, I don't like the way the mouth moves. I don't like the color of the background. I don't like, we're data driven. Like when we're getting clicks and we're getting stuff, okay, this is good. I don't care if you got Sloth from the Goonies and he's doing an ad. If he's getting 75 more clicks than the pretty girl, we're using Sloth. So it doesn't matter. We're data driven. And so if somebody doesn't like it or doesn't want it, I'm not going to talk them into doing it because obviously they're not open to it. There's people that are they're taking AI and embracing it. And like I have people reaching out to me all the time, hey, I want to do AI. I want to implement AI into my business somehow. I don't know where to start. Those are the people that we're looking for, and then we have to ask them, you're going to let us do what we need to do, or you're going to be open to it and you're going to have a budget and you're going to be, willing to spend at least, $200 a day on ads at minimum. And go from there. And if they're asking too many stupid questions from the very beginning, we just deny them. I mean, we're not we don't really need a lot of clients. You know what I mean? We're, you know, that's the whole thing is we want to work with a certain type of person, and that's really it. So I do show people how it works, and we do show them like, hey, look, here's, you know, here's an ad that I did, which I thought was great, you know, and then here's an ad that I had AI do. And it took me 4 hours, 50 cuts, an editing team. It cost me $2,500 to produce this ad with me that didn't do as good as the ad that it took me 2 minutes. No cuts, no nothing, no cameras, no anything. I just, boom, in 2 minutes, I created you an ad with the script and everything else and sent it out. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
and it performed 10 times better. So it's up to you. If you don't like the way the mouth moves or you don't like the color of the background, well, then this isn't the ad for you if you're that picky about it.
Yeah, we have that challenge too. So a lot of people, they have that challenge where they actually are not happy with the output of AI with the videos, and it doesn't look right sometimes. But for me, it's like it's you're right. I mean, unless you really care about the branding, which is important, obviously, but it's about results. And sometimes those AI videos, even though they might look kind of weird, sometimes they actually produce the real videos, right? It's about that. Yeah.
And to be honest with you, as long as you're clear about it being AI, like if you're trying to hide it and be like, oh no, that's me, you know, I speak 14 different languages, right there, then you're becoming a fake or a fraud, right? But if you embrace the fact that it's AI, yeah, I brag about it. Yeah, I use this AI. You know, it took me 2 minutes to do this video. Even like Sora 2, they're not the best videos, but my Sora 2 videos, we've gotten 10 to 15 times the amount of engagement on those stupid Sora 2 videos. I'm sorry, Sora. I didn't mean to say that about you. But we're getting way more engagement on those videos than we are in anything, and we're having fun with it most of all. Like you can do it, whatever your mind can conceive, you can make it happen. Typing in a prompt in the phone and make a video doing. I did the one where I fell through the roof the other day, and I mean, I got so much engagement off that. You know, we converted a few deals from it because people thought it was so funny, and they're like, "Oh, I seen your video. You're falling through the roof. You know, can you come out? You know." So it's just have fun with it and explore. You know, it's the age of AI. You're either going to embrace it or it's going to embrace you. That's
The last time we talked about you were working with a garage door company that was spending about $25,000 a month on marketing, but they had no idea where their customers coming from. Can you talk about like why there's such a common challenge with contractors?
because people don't understand their numbers. That's the biggest problem with any contractor is if you started out as a tradesman and you decided it was a good idea to become a business owner and you don't know how to be a business owner, that's where the biggest challenge comes with any service-based industry. You're working for a company. You might have been with them for 10 years. You're super good at your job. You know how to sell the job, but you don't understand any of the KPIs. And when you start your company, you want to do whatever you can to get the phone ringing. So you're spending money. When I first started, I got myself into a 3-year contract with a community magazine, Google, SEO. I had like, Angie's List and this and that. And we're spending money. The leads are coming in. We weren't tracking anything until like when I started, I hired that forensic accountant and he was like, well, how much are you actually making off of this ad? I'm like, well, I don't know. How much are you making off of it? Anytime the phone rang, we weren't asking them, where did you get our number? How did you find us? We didn't know. All we knew was we were happy that the phone was ringing and we were getting jobs. So I didn't know, that our phone rang 20 times before we got one job, and every time it rang, it probably cost us $100 to $200, right? So you don't understand those numbers, and then all of a sudden you did a job for $20,000, you're making $2,000, but it actually probably cost you $2,500 to get that job. And people don't understand the cost for acquisition of a job. How much is your marketing budget divided by the jobs you're having? And then you get a percentage there of what it actually costs. Like we were at like $800 for us to actually get a job. Everybody's like, what do you mean $800? The leads are only 100, 150 to $200. And it's like, yeah, but if you got 10 of them before you got any jobs, you got to understand those numbers. And then if you have too many irons in the fire, so to speak, with lead sources, you're spending money on every one of them. You got to add that money all together to figure out the percentage of what you're spending. And guys don't understand that. It's a Hail Mary play that they're throwing. They're spraying and praying and trying to like get business however they can, and if you don't track it, you can spend $25K on Google and you're not really getting any jobs. You know what I mean? Maybe you got, 3 or 4 jobs and your profit margin on it was $6,000. You just spent 25 grand and make $6,000. But people don't figure that into their, they think all they, I did a job, it was $20,000, we made 2,000, I made 2,000, but you didn't. And that's that's the biggest way that people lose, is not understanding their marketing costs. Hey, there's a lot of cost in business, but marketing we're talking about mostly here.
And what's the fastest way to implement tracking? I think you guys use Go High Level, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, we use Go High Level, and I would say, however you do it, get some kind of a CRM. We've done it. Had a paper every day, Google, Facebook. If you don't know how to use a CRM, that would be the fastest thing, is write down all your lead sources. Every time the phone rings or every time you get a text message or a call, write down where that lead came from, so that way you can see what's working, even if you're a paper and pen person. But the way we got our Go High Level set up is we got Google, Facebook, Quick Quote, this, that, whatever our marketing sources are. And then what we do is we funnel everything to there. So everything goes into that box, and then we're able to run it through the whole sales process, from the time the lead comes in, follow up, assigned to a rep, estimate, closed. So that way, and then we use Job Nimbus as our CRM. And honestly, I've been using them for almost 10 years now, and I don't think they're the best or anything, so I'm not trying to plug them or nothing, but we have Job Nimbus talking back to Go High Level. So once a job gets to a certain point, it goes back to Go High Level, so it keeps our automations. That's really the only where we can't pull the right kind of data out of Job Nimbus. And I don't know if it's just because we're so far down the road and we've been doing it wrong for so many years that we can't fix it now. I don't know. We're just not getting the correct data out of there. It's a good system for tracking your customers through the sale and production and everything like that. But as far as marketing, I don't think it's really great. And there's nothing out there that does all in one. I don't care what anybody says. I wish there was just the all in one CRM perfect thing. I could delete the thousands of dollars worth of apps that I got to run my business and have one thing that tells me everything, my closing ratios, my marketing budgets, all that stuff.
So we actually work with Job Nimbus, and we actually do the same, exactly what you're doing. So we have our client, depending on the CRM. So we do have like an AI, like automation expert engineer that actually connects their Go High Level. We use Contractor, which is a white label version of Go High Level, to integrate with the client CRM. And then at the end of the day, exactly what you want to see. You want to see the lead, right? From maybe it's a Facebook lead, you actually know the actual campaign, all the way to appointment, to estimate, or quote, and then to sale, and then project delivered and project completed. So that's, you get the full 100% picture. And sometimes I get pushback from people that they don't want to connect their CRM with the marketing, which doesn't make any sense. Sometimes these people,
Well, that's another reason why we fired our other client, is because they wouldn't give us access to their CRM. They did at first, but then they were like, oh, well, the ads are not working. Well, their ads are not working. We started calling them on their shit, like, hey, you're not doing what you need to do. Then all of a sudden it became like, oh, well, we just hired you to do ads for us. We didn't hire you for KPIs. I'm like, our whole job is based off of KPIs. Like, we need to know that our job is doing right. We need to know what kind of customers you got. Where did you get the customers from? So we can figure out who the customers are and be able to find more just like them. You know what I mean? I figured out your ideal client avatar. We need to know who they are, what neighborhoods do they live in. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how we figure out, how to target more people, by finding your ideal client avatar.
If you hire a marketing agency, guys, it's important to give them feedback on the leads. If you don't have any feedback on the leads, then you're flying blind at the end of the day. So you have to understand what the lead quality is, good or bad or ugly, and provide that feedback. If you're not providing that feedback, and the easiest way to do it is through the automation I explained, so you'll know the entire thing. So just remember that on the thing. Let's talk about becoming a local celebrity, right? This is, for me, I think this is kind of like the next evolution, where before you would have, what was before was having good SEO, or having a nice website and having enough reviews and doing maybe Google ads or LSA, and that would get you a lot of leads. But now you have to become a local celebrity. You have to create content, right? You talked about last time, you create 3 to 5 pieces of content every single day across all platforms. Why is that so important in today's market?
top of mind. You gotta put your brand out in front of people consistently, and we do it, digitally through social media. We do it in networking meetings. We do it in farmers markets. We do it in trade shows, home shows. We're out. You'll see our team. They're out everywhere. Our sales reps. It's part of their job. Is it's required for them to get out to the community and actually engage with the community and do different things. But it's super important because most people are scrolling all day. So even if they're not clicking on your ad, they're still seeing your brand go by, brand go by, brand go by. Then finally they have a problem with their roof. They need a new roof. Okay, good. Oh God, I remember that company. They're always talking about roofing on Facebook. Or sometimes we don't always talk about roofing. No, I mean I like to mix it up. People that post their business stuff 3 to 5 times a day, it just gets horrible. So you got to like kind of mix it up and do some fun stuff and everything like that. But digital content is super important, and you should always have a call to action on everything you do. Even if you're just doing a reel, there should be some kind of a call to action. Like mine is text roof to 26786. Right, so like if they do that, then they're going to get a free something. I don't really remember what we give them. It's probably a guide to hiring a roofer or whatever, which all leads back to me eventually. But it gets the data from them. So I have reels that I did 9, 10 months ago that people will text. All of a sudden, I just look down and I'm like, oh wow, I got a text for roof, and I get their number, call them up. They go, oh yeah, I seen your reel, and which reel was it? And we figure out which one it was, and it's 9 months ago, and they need us to come out and do an inspection because we were talking about an inspection in a video, or we were talking about something that could go wrong. Or educational videos are really good. For some reason, we get a lot of attention with when we're just up there talking about a roof. We're not even trying to sell anybody anything. We're just saying, here's what we're doing this job. We came across this. Boom, and like people click on that stuff for months and months and months. But you got to have a call to action. But most people don't think about that. And if you put a link, this is most people out there. If you're listening and you put a link to your website in your reel or something, Facebook will shut you down. It will not go viral. Now, if your thing goes out, you put it out with no link, and it goes viral, you get 30 to 50 people commenting and looking at it, then you can go back into the comments and then put a link to whatever your website. But you should have some kind of a call to action where people can in the video, we say stuff like comment estimate below, and somebody from our team will reach out. And then you got here's a free one for you guys, ManyChat. It's the easiest, cheapest, $30 a month. You hook up ManyChat, and somebody responds in your comments a keyword that you said in your video, and then it'll start to send them messages. Hey Mauricio, how you doing? You're looking for a roof, whatever, blah blah blah. And like ManyChat, you can train it. It's a very simple AI, and you could train it to get the sales process started, and it will get to people talking. I need a roof. Oh, we're looking for shingles. What's your address? Great. That house looks really nice. I bet metal would look good on that. And then you start to see it, and then you're able to get a real live person to go in there and actually contact that person. But at least they're getting engagement. You know what I mean? So that way, if something happens. I mean, that's one of the simplest AIs. I forgot about that the other day when you asked me. I've had that for years.
So obviously this is important. What I see is that if you're creating content on these social media platforms, what's going to be happening in the future, and it's happening now today, is that you're going to start getting recommended by these AI agents because Google's indexing Facebook, right? So everything you post on Facebook is going to appear on Google. If you are getting on YouTube, if you're having social media platforms out there, and people are searching in a different manner, they're going to get recommended by ChatGPT or by AI, Google's AI, overviews, all that stuff. So the more you do that, right, the more, because that's what people are asking. They want to know about, hey, how to get recommended by ChatGPT, how to get recommended by Google. This is the way. That's one of the core things, is actually posting on social media, creating content. That's the way to do it. So there's other things you can do, but that's also a core piece of what's happening. And honestly, no, I don't think you can outsource that. You have to do it internal. You have to really do that internal because it's hard to do it. You have to really just commit to it and just create content on your own, and have your team do it as well.
We have our team, we utilize WhatsApp right now for our team feed, and I have all different chats in there. One of them is videos, and what we encourage our guys to do is while they're out there, they're doing videos, they're doing, they're uploading the videos. And I actually have a team. They basically work for us. They go in there, grab the video out, edit the video, turn it into a reel, and then kick it back out to Facebook for us. Or, they go, that's where all of our content comes from. And then they have their own creative ideas. They'll find current events and they'll, capitalize off of viral stuff that's going on. You know what I mean? We'll, duplicate stuff that we see that's working on the internet. But you're just constantly bringing new ideas and new innovation when you're allowing your team to be able to, I got some really creative guys on my team that are coming up with some videos that are just like, wild, but you're right. And posting on YouTube as well. Most people don't realize this. And I didn't know until a couple of years ago that YouTube is owned by Google. So I met a guy, and you may have heard of him, Roger Wakefield. Have you ever heard of him? Roger Wakefield?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, plumber. So you type in plumber on YouTube and Roger pops up. He gets over, millions of views every month. He's a friend of mine, and he just started with basically, I'll give his secret, and he'll tell you this too in public, but when your phone rings and somebody asks a question, have your team write down all the different questions of what people are asking, and then do a video about it, and then just put it on YouTube and just let it go. And then when people are typing in, how do you fix a roof leak? Boom. Well, then your stuff starts to pop up. Or how do you fix this? Or how do you do this? So then the YouTube video will pop up in Google and it'll get you shown in there. So YouTube is a very good source for getting rated on Google. And I think that's kind of helped us. Even though we don't have a lot of people go right to Google or YouTube to find our stuff, my stuff is still popping up on searches and stuff like that.
You talked about this last time. You said that it's contractors need to hear this. It's not the leads that suck. It's you that sucks. Can you break down what you mean by that?
Well, you can be the best at, creating traffic for a company, right? I can get you 50, 60 leads, but if you can't close a deal, then that's not my problem as a marketing agent, right? So that's where a lot of people have a problem with conversion. You know what I mean? It's not a traffic problem, it's a conversion problem. So you need to make sure that you understand how to convert a deal first before you start spending money on traffic. That's a super important part of this whole deal, is being able to close a deal. And sometimes people will get a lead and they call it once, and nobody answered, and then it goes into the lost. So it's like, hey, if you're spending, some of these guys, like our cost is a little bit lower. We're in the 50, 60 range right now, but most of these guys are paying anywhere between 100 and 200 bucks for a lead. And if you're going to call it once, like, tell me right now, you have a sales rep that works for you that dropped a $100 bill while he was walking. Do you think he's going to turn around and pick it up? You know what I mean? You got to keep trying to bring that lead through the process until it's absolutely dead. And if you got their name, their phone number, and their address, you should be hitting, or most of the time email too, you should be hitting them from all different angles. And then if you don't know how to close a sale, then you need to find some people that know how to close sales. Because I see it all the time, and I got to be, I'm a 40% closer and this and that. And they can't, I'm a 40% closer and I can't close these sales. Okay, well, I'll take 10 of them. I'll go out and close 2. I'm like, well, maybe you're not a 40% closer. Maybe you're a 10 at best. So part of it, that was part of really why our program is a little bit more money, because we do get involved in all that. Like, we're not just, if we were going to just sell leads, we'd just be another lead hustler. Give me $2,000, I'll get you a 10 pack of leads. I don't want to be that way. So what if we're working with somebody, we want to work with them. And if they're having conversion problems, we'll figure that out through the data. We'll go out there and maybe do some sales. I'll bring my sales trainer and sales managers, and we'll go out there and we'll help them figure out how to convert the deals, and teach them, because some people just don't know, that follow-up is important. You got to follow up with somebody between 7 and 14 times. Sometimes, especially on digital, social media ads, it takes a lot.
Yeah, let's talk more about that. You said you have an entire, I'm sure you have it in high level. You have a workflow set up where you have a nurturing campaign where you have a 7 to 14 touches, right, over a 2-week process. Or how long typically?
Well, yeah, and it doesn't stop. We have an intense 7 to 14 process over 2 weeks, and then we still once a week, and then it'll drop down to once a month. We're going to stay in contact with the leads until they basically opt out. Until they stop, we're going to keep following up. But yeah, the first couple of days is super intense. We're calling them, we're emailing them, we're texting them. We're by the third day, we're stopping at third to fifth day, we're stopping at their house. And you're like, hey, we got this estimate here for you. You submitted online that you wanted a roof, and we just want to make sure you got it, because we got no response. I think the wrong, Facebook had the wrong phone number. So here's your estimate. So that's kind of our follow-up process. It's an aggressive follow-up process. And I always think like people like Grant Cardone. I mean, you look at him. I mean, you can't get no more aggressive than Grant. You think about clicking on his ad, and you're getting followed up for 3 years. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so you mentioned something just interesting right now. This is you treat every lead as gold. That's basically what it means. That's the mindset. Not only are you following up, you actually show up to the actual house. Can you explain how that works?
Yeah, I did. I actually got a one-star Google review the other day because of it, because he was like, it said hassle-free, quote on your roof or whatever. And we called him 5 times and then showed up to his house, and I wanted to be like, oh, it looks like my system is working. Yeah. But, of course I want him to take the thing down. But yeah, what happens is, especially social media ads, is one thing that people got to understand is like that there's like, they put fake information in. You know what I mean? Some people are hip to it, right? With the way we structure our ads, they have to put information in to get the measurements on the roof, right? If you need a price on your roof, you've got to have an address on there, right? Because I won't do a click, click below and put a form fill. I won't do a form fill ad, because so many times I've spent $150 to $200 on a form fill ad that I got fake phone number, fake whatever, you know what I mean? They clicked on the ad, we're calling. There's no address, no nothing. So with the way we do it, we get the address, and and they have to either put the right phone number or the right email in order to get the quote. So we try all of them. You know what I mean? And yeah, it is gold. And the term lead Nazi is, something that we do. I mean, but we're on it. Like, we're like, hey, we're spending money on these. You know what I mean? When you start looking at our ad budgets, we're, up there, and we're spending a lot of money. So we want to make sure that our guys are doing everything they can to follow up. And then, so what we do is we pass it from sales rep to sales rep. You know what I mean? And
You call it a rehash pipeline, right? That's what you call it?
rehash pipeline. Yeah, it's a rehash pipeline. Like, you get it for a couple of days. If you don't make no progress, you don't reach out, you don't get them on a phone, I give it to somebody else. And somebody will eventually go to the person's house and figure it out. And then you're either going to get out of here, don't talk to me anymore, or stop, or whatever. Once somebody says stop, I don't pursue it. I won't go to their house. We put them in the loft. We don't. But there's a spot in the pipeline that says door knock. And the door knock is like, okay, we tried reaching out to them 3 times. Now we're going to put them into the door knock. So then there's a column of door knock. And then we'll have one of the sales reps will come in and say, what do we got in door knock? And I'll give them a list of 5 to 10 leads that are, people that submitted. And then they go out and, check the roof and knock on the door. Like, oh, they do need a roof. We've had people, that had brand new roofs that have gotten that far, and when we got there, they're like, oh, I was just trying to see how it works. And you're going to get that, so you got to be prepared for it. And it's not, anybody's fault. Like, it's just people are, curious. They want to know how things work.
I want to know more about that. So you have, say you you pass the leads from one rep. If they don't close it after 30 days, you pass it to another rep. How does it work? Can you explain that a little more? 3 days? Wow.
3 days. Yeah, no, I'm aggressive. Yeah, 3 days. So like basically we let them know up front. We created a process, had them all sign it so that nobody can get butt hurt. And if they made contact with them, so Job Nimbus, you have all your notes in there. So if they've made contact, they're talking with them, and we can look, because that's what we do. We look at the notes. We want to see the activity, not the notes, the activity. And if you're talking to somebody, or you're scheduled to go out and do an on-site visit and all this other stuff, we're going to leave that alone. But if I see that I gave you a lead on the 10th and it's the 15th and you haven't called or you haven't done anything, or maybe you called on the 10th but you didn't call again, boom, I'm just taking it from you. I'm giving it to somebody else that's hungry. And at first people were like, but now guess what happens? Those suckers are in there doing what they need to do, and they're adding the notes. You know what I mean? It's holding the guys accountable. If they don't want to lose those leads, now they started using their CRM. They're putting the notes in the activity. They're tracking their calls. They're calling and texting from Job Nimbus. So now they don't want to lose the opportunity. So as long as they're doing something with the opportunity, we're not going to take it. But if you don't touch your lead in 3 days, it's out. Especially if it's like a referral or something like that. My referrals are gold, because most of our referrals close really good. But I don't just do it with my Facebook leads. I do it with all the leads. If you don't touch it, like if you haven't talked to somebody in 3 days, we're moving it on down the line, because
That's awesome.
it's money.
You built an AI estimator that generates code compliant Florida estimates, right? That's what we talked about last time from like a simple voice prompt. How does it work?
Okay, so Aoife again, my back end. She created it for me because she was like, what are some of the, we would talk, what are some of the things in the roofing industry that people struggle with? And one of the things is we're a full service roofing company, right? So we do everything from repairs on residential to commercial, HOAs, big block stores. We do it all. And repairs in particular is a main source of our cash flow. When you got new guys that don't, anybody can take an eagle view, say boom, 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 here's the price. I have a sheet. We give them square prices on stuff that we update on a regular basis, right? So we have a live spreadsheet that we can, so a monkey can literally come up with a price on a roof. But repairs sometimes is a little more difficult, right? Because you don't understand the pricing model and stuff like that. So I basically have it to where you can talk to it and say, hey, I got a leak over the master bedroom on the left front side of the entryway, coming from the bottom of the valley. There's about 10 foot of wall. It's a tile roof. Need an estimate based off of manufacturer specification of Florida building code. I had it I linked it to all of my like Google Drives and CRMs and everything like that. So it has history of all of my jobs. So it'll start to find some of this stuff and it'll come up with suggested prices. Now I always tell them and it'll write a nice line item estimate for you, exactly what you need to do. It throws in reviews. It throws in frequently asked questions about that type of repair. And it's been really handy. I was getting calls at one time I had like 25, 30 sales reps and I was all day long, just pricing jobs and on FaceTime and I'm like, oh my God, why am I paying these guys when they don't even know how to do it? I have to do it. You know what I mean? And then they're expecting, our pay plan on repairs is pretty aggressive. We're splitting them 50-50 with the guys. Sometimes these guys are making $1,000 to $1,500 off a repair, and they don't even know how to bid things. You know what I mean? So this really eliminated a lot of it. And when it comes to newer technology or new roofing systems, it'll go in. We have it going to the Duralast. We're Duralast certified. We go into Duralast websites and all their product approvals, gain all the knowledge of that, so it has all the knowledge. Now if I have to write it, it understands exactly how to do it according to Florida building code, or you could do it according to Colorado building code or whatever area you're in, and it'll give you suggested pricing. I suggest you don't always just use that pricing. You got to check it out with somebody who knows a little bit better. So I do. It eliminates. The guys can send me the thing. Okay, boom. All right, yeah, $2,500 is good for that. So that's been a super big game changer, and it's just a GPT for your Chat GPT. We just create.
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it's pretty easy. That's genius. That's genius, by the way. And okay, so you have. So how do you? What's the next step? Do you typically, if they get an estimate, they understand the pricing. Do you send a proposal? How do you send the proposal typically? Do you send the proposals for the client, or how does that work? The next step. I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, no, we have 24-hour rules, a 24-hour culture. Like if you go see somebody, I like when they give them the estimate right away. Like if you're at the house and you can do it right away, we can do most of the stuff. We got templates set up on all of our stuff. But within 24 hours, they have to have an estimate. Now, if it's a complicated job and there's a lot, some of the commercial stuff we do, we have to go do core samples and stuff like that. There's a different story, you know what I mean? But like a simple, like a house like this, a residential roof right there, I have all the information before I go to the house. Like I know the roof is going to cost, $60,000. I'm going to present an offer to the people right away.
Got it. Awesome. What do you see AI in the next 2-3 years? Like, what do you think it's going to look like for contractors?
As far as what, like
just in general, like, what do you think? How is that going to impact the trades in the next 2-3 years?
I think that the people that embrace it, it's going to make them more efficient, and your overhead's going to go down low. I'm already finding ways to I don't want to cut out all the people and be a computer or robot ran company, but I do have my employees, if they have to embrace AI and be able to use it to make themselves more efficient. So we do AI training and at least once a month, we're teaching people how to utilize it to do their job a little bit more efficiently. You know what I mean? So I think that, it's definitely going to make things more efficient, and it's going to make things more affordable. Like your overhead is going to go way down. I could think of like 3 or 4 different positions in a company that, will probably be eliminated if people don't use them, you know what I mean? But I like using VAs and AI, you know what I mean? I have virtual assistants too that I use, and they're super handy. But everything's going to be more efficient too. The more people embrace it, you're less room for error. We're doing SWOT analysis on our contracts for commercial right now, like through ChatGPT, and getting a real good sense of like what we're up against. Like sometimes we get our competitors' bids and we do a SWOT analysis off of both of them for a comparison, to be more efficient. It'll let us know like when we made a mistake somewhere or something that's going to open a liability up for us, or So I think efficiency is more efficiency and better profitability.
What are you using AI for sales training?
I do use AI for sales training. Guys aren't really using it as much as we want, but sometimes what we do in the sales meetings, we call it the sales cage match, where you get 2 sales reps and, basically like a cage match fight. One person tries to sell the other person a roof or whatever it is. We do this in networking meetings with other marketing partnerships, like different trades. We'll have them come in. That way we can learn about their business a little bit. But we have an AI sales coach. Again, it's a GPT, and you could run the GPT while the guys are doing a sales training. We mic them up, and what it'll do is it'll tell you like what you did good, and it'll tell you what you could have done better, and it'll give you some suggestions of how to get the people to close a little bit. And then I could just copy and paste that, send it to the sales rep, and then they could look at it again, and then they get to get a little bit better. Well, you were really good with this, and your tone was really nice, but you should ask these kind of questions to get to this, and you didn't ask enough challenge questions up front, so you were hit with a lot more objections on the back end. So that it tells you a little bit of stuff like that. Like most people don't ask the important questions up front. How are you going to pay? Does your wife need to be here? You know what I mean? What's your biggest fear of hiring a roofer? So like it teaches people. And then these guys want to get better and better, and they want to get a better score every time, so it helps. And they can do it at the door. They can use it at the door too. They just go up to the door and they click it on. You can't, you're not really supposed to use it for videos or nothing, but if you want to know how to get better when you're at the door or something like that, or when you're with a customer, you could run it and it'll tell you exactly how to do it. And we trained that on all different types of NAPQ and the hell is it? It's a sales process. I can't remember it.
Yeah. It's Jeremy Miners. I think that's what we're talking about, right? Jeremy Miners, NABQ. Yeah. It's exactly. If there's one message you want every contractor listening to that they can walk away with, especially about AI, marketing, and understanding the numbers, what would that be?
I think you answered it right there. Is understand the numbers. Like if you're going to invest in this type of stuff, and you're going to invest in systems and processes and marketing and AI especially, understand how it works. Take the time to invest. Take the time and money to invest in learning it first. You learn it and then delegate it. That's the biggest thing that like Bill Walsh from Power Team taught me. Learn how to do it and then delegate it. Your job is to understand it, create a process, and then pass that process off to somebody else. With anything in your business, you need to do it one time and figure it out and make the process, and you should document the process as you go, and that's how you create your systems for your business.
Yeah, awesome. Where do people find you, Richie?
Right now, the best place to find me is either Instagram or Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm on there, Richie Colletti on all of them. You can just type in Richie Colletti and I'll pop up. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn right now if you want to connect with me professionally. If you just want to chat and see some of our videos, then just go to Instagram.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna put the link in the description so you guys have that link. But Richie, yeah, I really appreciate your time, and it's awesome talking with you.
Yeah, cool, man. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to AI and Marketing for Home Service Pros. If you got value from today's episode, do us a favor. Follow the show, share it with a contractor friend, and leave a quick review. Want help using AI or smarter marketing to grow your business? Head to contractormarketingpros.net and book your free strategy call.